Hello everyone. Today we're having Raider Riley with us to speak about cybersecurity tips and share his knowledge and background of cybersecurity from different companies that he's been at. And hello. It's good to meet you today.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Really nice to see you. It's nice to see you. So can you tell us please about yourself, about where you're from, your background, maybe some fun stories, and if you could do that for us.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Oh man.
No, where would you like me to start?
So what's your role in the company like Flowtech now and ISACA and the community college that you've been and board of advisors at, right?
Sure.
So what's your role there and what do you help these guys to accomplish as a security expert?
Okay. Well, I'm a certified information security manager, also a certified information security auditor, and I also hold a C-risk designation through ISACA, and I sit on the board of directors as program chair and some other things for the Greater Houston Region ISACA Chapter. To that end, I'm going to go ahead and do my plug now, if that's okay with you. On 20th of September, this coming up, 20th of September, we are having a very large-scale cybersecurity event that ISACA is sponsoring, and we are having Kevin Mitnick, the world's most famous hacker.
Yes.
And about 1,000 people in attendance. And that will be at the Revention Music Center.
Here in Houston.
Here in Houston.
Yes.
Correct. 20 September, it's a Friday. You can get the day off. I know you can. And that'll be all day from 0900 to about 1600, 9 to 4.
Yep.
So, that being said.
Yep, so don't forget, 20th of September,
Right.
Houston.
My responsibilities at Flowtech were information security / cybersecurity, and that kind of also went up into the physical security side of things as well. Sometimes a little close protection, like we would go down to like Panama or someplace like that with a couple of C-level executives, and I'd go down there and babysit, so to speak. Stuff like that, investigations, law enforcement liaison, in addition to the regular cybersecurity, information security things. Prior to that, I entered a company as an investigator, basically.
Okay.
So they dropped me in as ostensibly a business intelligence analyst.
Cybersecurity investigator, right?
Right. But at that point, they weren't sure exactly what was going on.
Okay.
But I went at the behest of someone on the board of directors of that publicly traded company and discovered that the entire IT department was basically a poor man's Ocean 11, and they were stealing the company blind.
Are you serious? And that wasn't controlled by
That was not controlled. And the interesting thing that triggered this whole investigation was one little thing from someone in the accounting department that discovered she was reconciling tax information and discovered a purchase that they had made that didn't make any sense. And she took that to the chief accounting officer, and then that's what led to this whole thing unraveling. So when you're looking at information security as a whole, it's really everybody's job. So it's the kind of thing to remember is if you see something, say something, even if it's inconsequential.
That's so true, yeah.
I mean, snitches wind up in ditches, but in this particular case, it's a good thing to kind of say something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that led to the CEO and chairman of the board. And then it kind of went downhill to where the entire IT department, from the help desk analysts, contractors, to the CIO, were all let go. So it was crazy. It was
this
Wild
is
West.
Really huge and crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then from there, I wound up going to Flowtech as their information security director, if you will. And then from there, I'd done some contracting work for kind of a vendor that does some things for the first responder and intelligence areas for a couple of the alphabet agencies.
Okay.
And then from that, I'm now working again with another major oil and gas company in Houston, which is where I was today.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I'm not going to expose the name, but
exactly, thank you.
I remember, yeah.
Yes. So it kind of brings us current. And back to you. So it's not a monologue. What would you like?
Yes, I would like to ask you, since you also participate in security works for the Houston Community College, and recently during spring of 2019, if I remember correctly, there were several data leaks and data breaches among biggest universities of United States, such as Missouri Southern University, Oregon State University, and Graceland University. And I remember they had the leaks of personal identifiable information of students and their family members, as well as social security numbers. So like a huge list of different sensitive information. And I was going to ask you, what would you recommend for such educational institutions to execute in order to not lose this sensitive information, and how to protect yourself from these kind of hackers? As you said, cybersecurity is everyone's job, including staff members and counselors and everyone, not just security and students as well. Yes, not just security, security department.
Right.
So I was going to ask you this question: like, what would you recommend?
Okay.
How to protect?
I'm not familiar with the specific instance you're talking about.
Yes.
In detail. But in general, I forget the figure, but we're talking 80 to 90% of most of the attacks now are ransomware / from phishing.
Yep.
So that's primary version, which of course emails, and you get students that are thinking about the next test or their person they're contacting with online, and they just aren't paying that much attention. So educating the students is probably the best thing to do for first line of defense, because they are, no offense to the students, but they're probably going to be your most likely culprits when it comes to, we'll call it misclicking.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
And that's a good one. Something else that's interesting is a lot of institutions are going after designation from the National Security Agency, indicating that they're, in essence, a bastion of cybersecurity within their education programs. And and I have it on good authority from some of those that have been accredited, that attacks on them are increased, in particular by nation-state actors, which is kind of interesting. It's like you get the NSA designation and all of a sudden you're a target. But so anyway, back to the original question, the primary thing would be to educate the users, but make it a continuous education program and something that they can engage in and be interested in.
Yeah, like security awareness.
Security awareness is huge. That would be the number one thing. In fact, they should add security awareness to the security stack.
Okay.
It's like a whole nother layer.
And going back to oil and gas industry, so as I've noticed that there's not a lot of security breaches indicated among the industry of the petroleum industry, and I was going to ask you, what do you think about it, and how fast are cyber crimes going to reach this industry? Because I mean, this industry has a lot of money. Let's be real, and so how fast is this going to happen?
It already is. It's everybody pretty much has been hacked, whether or not they're even aware of it. And I'm not saying anybody in particular has been hacked and not aware of it, but so, now that I've been wishy-washy.
Do they hide it from the press, or does it just have the great incident response plan that includes not going public with this information? How does this work? Not a lot of internet sources talk about it.
I'm going to leave some of that off the table.
Okay.
But I know that all of them pretty much do have some sort of remediation program, and they have response teams, CERT teams, disaster recovery, everything in place to respond as quickly as they can. The ones that are involved in the supplying power to the power grid or actually are part of the power grid that have and the NERC SIP, those are working very closely in conjunction with the FBI as part of, especially the ones in InfraGard, to bolster their defense and so forth. So it's a harder target, but I know that it still happens. Now, whether or not and how they report, that's kind of
how it goes.
Outside, that's kind of how it is.
And also, a personal question from myself. What do you think about the third-party vendors for different companies, and how can one ensure that the third party is secure? So, for example, we have a huge company, oil and gas or educational, whoever, and then they have all these bunch of third-party vendors
vendor
that
management.
would, yes.
Yes,
So
vendor management is a huge issue.
Yes,
it's
and
like one of the top 3, I think, right now is a hot button for almost everybody. Is because you can't, if you're allowing these people onto your network, and it's almost always occurs in some form or fashion, you can get them compliant, but most people in the industry know that compliance doesn't equal security and vice versa. So you can do the paperwork side of it with SSA E16s and so forth to make sure that they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But once again, you're only as secure as your weakest point, and your weakest point is usually a vendor.
Yes.
So vendor management is a big thing. And there are tools out there that you can do for vendor management, which I think with most places they just don't have the bandwidth to dedicate somebody to that. So I recommend a qualified
security stuff to check it.
Yeah, some sort of qualified security program.
Okay. Yep. Any tips from you? Any recommendations to people who are going to watch this vlog from UnderDefense?
Don't go into cybersecurity. I'm totally kidding.
Or don't go there, or go there, but hire someone who can do it better for you.
I like the way you think.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I hope that wasn't terrible.
No, it was great. Thank you, everyone, for watching this.